Okay, and it is like this because I had to put the battery on charge. The car was parked over there, and it didn't start. The battery was really weak, so I had to put it to start, and it's now here just idling to charge the battery a little bit. What this is a, let me have a look. Yeah, this is a 2015 Ford KA. I believe this is that little Fiat engine on this. I'm not sure what this is, if it's a 1.2 or a liter. It's one of these little engines. And yeah, I'm not really sure which engine is this. It doesn't say. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be either the 1. Hold on a second. Okay, and here is 4KA with start and stop. Is the 1.2 68 brake horsepower 4KA. So what's wrong with this? Start with someone already has been working on this. I was actually called when they were looking into this. They asked me for my opinion. I told them a couple of things to check. I don't know if they did check that or not. But basically, as far as I'm aware, there was nothing wrong with this car until they changed the sump pump. Am I right? And after that, they put it all back on, and the car is doing this. Obviously, there is a few warnings here that are not showing now for auto start and stop unavailable, and some other stuff. You have that yellow triangle in there. Let me close the door. Can you see anything? Kind of can. So you have that yellow triangle, you have that A, which I believe is for the auto start and stop, and you have that engine light flashing. The engine is also running. I'm not gonna say it's misfiring, but it's running a little bit funny. Let me show you actually here. It's not really misfiring, but it nearly looks like. I mean, here on the engine, it actually doesn't look too bad. But from the exhaust, there is a noise as if it's misfiring, like a puffy noise. I'm not sure. I haven't drove the car. All I'm going to do, as you probably guessed, really quick, we're going to give you a scan and see what it does have. I am pretty sure that I was also told that the engine, it fails to start the first time. The battery should be charged now. Let me try. Now we started fine. Okay, so today, there we go, unavailable. Auto start and stop unavailable. So the day the car was actually dropped, I had to move it about a couple of hours later. If you follow me on Patreon, you might have seen that picture I posted for the Audi A7 for the coolant leak. So that was the day I was doing that car that this was dropped, and this was dropped at the back of the Audi A7. And when I went to start it, I cranked it, and it just cranked and didn't start. I turned the key off, turned it back on, and it started straight away, which was a little bit odd. But anyway, I'm just here talking. Let's gonna scan this. It's really hot today. Let's gonna scan this and see what we have. Okay, and let's gonna go and see what my engine ECU does have, which is PCM. I know it's the powertrain control module. We do have flywheel learning not executed, crankshaft position correlation bank 1, manifold pressure absolute, no additional failure to up this information. Okay, so we have a U code, which usually, if I'm correct, yeah, exactly, is for CAN communications. Missing message. Okay. Then we have the manifold, the absolute pressure. We have the crankshaft position to camshaft bank 1, and we have the flywheel not learning not executed. Okay, now I'm sure. Okay, let's gonna go to my live data. See what my live data shows me. Okay, so it's not a lot of live. I mean, there is some live data, but it's not really. I mean, obviously for that pressure sensor, which was the first thing I was trying to look at, I only have. I'm not sure what pressure I should have in there, but I have some readings here. I'm going to show. So this is just a normal petrol engine. There's no turbos or anything funny like that. So we have these learnings here, and then when you get down here, interestingly enough, we have a VVT actuated position, which shows 0, and we have a VVT desired position, which shows -16. So if this is true, it's quite far out. And then we have here obviously the learning camshaft status in execution is off, in failure is on, because it is not done. So obviously that's on in there. So I guess that should only show in progress, in wait, in start. So this should be all off as far as I'm aware. This is going to be in progress. Am I right? Yeah, in progress. Start. I'm not sure. I think once everything is okay, this should be all off. Yeah, and then we have up here some readings for the manifold pressure, which is shows me 3.8 kilopascals, which is gonna be 38 millibars. So obviously the air pressure is going to be lower than the atmospheric pressure, because obviously we have the engine pulling air, so it's going to reduce the pressure. And we have something here for the barometric pressure. I haven't looked at that one actually. Atmospheric pressure sensor voltage 1.86. It just shows me the voltage, doesn't actually shows me a reading, which is a little bit of a bad thing. No, it doesn't show me the reading, it just shows me the voltage. Okay, and this is fuel trims. Okay, it's not a lot much more here that we can do, isn't it? No, that's it. So let's gonna do, as always, a quick visual inspection and see if there's anything that stands out, and we'll go from there. Okay, so on the fun's just kicked in. On a quick visual inspection, everything looks pretty okay, apart from a couple of things that are not what they should be. So that's a cable there, that in there is nothing put in place, but overall doesn't look too bad. So one of the things I've noticed already, well, live data shows you. So if I unplug the solenoid that controls the timing, the advance and retardation of the engine, as you can see, the engine doesn't even bleep, which means this is not being, the car is not adjusting the timing. But I guess the -16 on our live data already shows that. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to turn it off. I'm going to try to clear these faults and go from there. So erase codes. Let me see what comes back like straight away. If anything, oh, well, I don't think. Why is that code in there straight away? That's a little bit odd. Okay, started just like before. No, I don't want to erase the codes now. So go to my live data. Okay, so that code coming up straight away without even start the engine. It is a little bit odd. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be doing the same now. Yeah, so he's ignoring the timing, or he's ignoring the trying It's ignoring the timing, so it's not doing anything with the timing. But why is that code coming up straight away? Because I don't think that will have nothing to do with this. But let's try to do a learning, see if that works. I don't think that will work. So let's gonna try to do a learning and see what happens. Okay, and just before we try that learning, I decided that would be good to give a quick test to the valve. So the valve, I'm going to show you here. I already done it, but just for the video, I will show you here. The valve has, if I recall correctly, 9 point. So 9.5 ohms, which is about right. It's about 10 ohms, usually they are, somewhere there. And when I activate the valve, as you're going to also see, I don't have a plug for this thing. Now to do this. The valve is actually working. So we all just seen the video for, or you might just have seen the video for the C3. The fuel regulator was working and it was bad. So the car never came back. It's been running fine. So yeah, it doesn't really mean it is good. But the fact that the car is reporting a fault as soon as you clear it, so it's a hard fault in there. The car is detecting some problem, a problem somewhere. If it's not the valve, let's gonna check the wiring. Okay, so found the first pin, which is this one here on this plug right in the corner. I didn't check the diagrams, but I'm just making sure I don't have nothing shorting on the wiring. No, so that's the only wire that makes contact and is on 0.2 ohms as you've seen. So it's spot on. So let's gonna move this to the next one now. Come on. Difficult to do this, one hand. Okay, now let's gonna look for the other one. So the other one was there. Let's see if the other one is near here. No, it's not gonna be that because we have 15 ohms, so it can't be that one. Another 15 ohms. 0.9. Hold on a minute, why I have 3 wires? Unless that's shared with other sensors. Right, I'm gonna have to get diagrams. I need to understand. So I guess that is gonna be, so this the one I'm checking out is gonna be shared across a few things, maybe other valves or the actuators, and then the other one is going to be the ground that's going to be pulsed by the ECU. So let me check diagrams. I need to understand a little bit better exactly what is what. Okay, so check diagrams, and as I suspected, the pin we are trying to measure is the power feed, so 12 volts, and then the other pin we measured straight to the ECU is the actuation from the ECU itself, which is going to ground the sensor. So this power is actually shared about, across a few other things. According to diagrams, is for the charcoal filter, and is then for the 2 O2 sensors before and after cut. That also goes to the ECU, to one of the pins. I don't understand yet why I have so many pins showing other values, but I'm gonna guess that's because it's measuring the resistance. For example, that feeds the heating element on the O2 sensor, so I'm guessing what we are measuring here is the resistance of all the other circuits. We should get a straight connection to one of these pins if we could disconnect everything else and just leave the wiring loom unplugged from everything. But another thing that this goes to, so what actually feeds all these systems is not the ECU itself, is actually fuse, I think it's fuse 11, is a 10 amp, which is, I believe is this one here, there it is. And let me see if I can't measure both sides. So let me pull, because I can't get the probe, let me pull that fuse out. Fuse looks good. Make sure we have, what's that in there? Yeah, so I always measure in the right place. So the other side is the feed. So at the moment, I'll put the fuse back in. So at the moment, looks like everything looks okay. So yeah, I might try to do the learning next. See if he does the learning. If he doesn't do the learning, then guys, there's only one thing that can be left. Do we have a bad issue? Not really sure. Okay, let's gonna do a quick test here. So I've connected my test light to the 2 wires of that connect to the solenoid. Just a good connection like that. So I'm going to turn the ignition on, and I want to see what the ECU is going to do when I turn the ignition on. And it did nothing. So let me, maybe because it's a fault on the ECU, I'm just going to try to clear that fault and see if that does anything. I would suspect this ECU would have to try to pulse this valve to do the checks. Maybe when you start the engine. Let me actually put the valve back in as well. So if we need to start the engine, we can start the engine without just lose oil everywhere. Okay, so let me leave that connected. Let me get the maxi seals. Okay, you might heard ignition is on. We go back into the PCM, read codes, yeah, same 2 codes. Let me erase the codes. Okay, nothing happened there. My codes are still here. I'm guessing if I start the engine, nothing really is going to happen, but we'll do it anyway. I think I just touched with this on the chassis, and I think I blew that fuse. Okay, it looks like I cannot do the learning because it's asking me to rev up to a minimum of 6,000 RPMs, but unfortunately the engine is cutting out at 4.5. Don't know if it's because it's in limp mode, because of that fault for the VVT thing. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to go above. I'll show you. Put my foot down. It cuts at 4.5. So I'm gonna have to cancel this for now. I don't think this is done driving. I never had to do this. Come on, get out of there. I never had to do this while driving. It was always stationary. Right. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Right, let me think. To be honest with you, it's 1 o'clock and I can't really do much more today. I'm working nights and I need to go for dinner and have my afternoon nap. So guys, I think I'll see you when I see you. For you, it's just going to be the next clip. At the moment, I'm not really sure what's going on. It might require a little bit more investigation, so we'll have to go through that, and I'll catch up with you whenever. Okay, and back to this thing. The last clip was recorded 2 or 3 days ago, and before my night shifts, and I was just here now. I'll be a little bit more talking here now. I was just reviewing the footage so I could position myself where I left. And right before you guys go in commenting, which probably is already too late, I think I was probably barking at the wrong tree. Let me explain you why, and straight after I'll explain why I went that route. So the code, actually, let me get the MaxiSys and plug it in so we can do this thinking process with the MaxiSys connected, and we can look at the codes at the same time. Okay, so the reason why I went for that valve is for 2 reasons, and I know looking back, I do admit that probably I looked at this the wrong way. But first of all, when you've seen we deleted the code, so forget the P1300 for now, the flywheel learning. That will go away once we get the other issue sorted. At least that's how I'm looking at this. But let's gonna focus on the P0016. So the way I'm looking at this is, you have seen when we deleted the codes, those 2 codes come back immediately. They are hard codes, they do not clear. So to me, that means 2 things. One is something the ECU is able to immediately detect, just as the ECU does that initial quick boot and does a quick check of the systems, is able to detect those 2 problems straight away. Obviously, the first code, self-explanatory, why the ECU detects that, because it's not being relearned, so the ECU just leaves that code in there. The other one, it is surely something the ECU is able to also monitor. So from the variable cam adjustment system, there's pretty much only a couple things, or a few things, that the ECU is able to detect with the engine off. Obviously, I do believe it's going to be able to detect that valve, because when it tries to actuate that valve, it's going to be able to either monitor the load of that valve, it's going to be able to maybe monitor the resistance. I'm not sure what the ECU measures on that valve, but it's going to be able to measure the circuit of that valve most likely, and will be able to throw a code. Although, yes, admittedly, that code, it does not refer to that. So the timing of the car, the ECU is not going to be able to tell you if it's correct or not until you start the engine. Because until it starts to get the measurements from the 2 sensors, the crank and the camshaft, the ECU doesn't know. So, that means obviously that then this is going to be something the ECU is able to detect immediately. Now, where are these readings going in with the engine off for the ECU to be able to tell you that the camshaft position correlation is wrong? Now, yes, I misread this at the start. I backed at the wrong tree. Nothing wrong with what we did. And guys, before you comment, just think that I could delete all of that and just make this to look completely different, okay? At this point, I'm at the same position as I started the video, so I could well just skip all of that, okay? But I'm not going to leave it. That's real life. We all have those moments, and I had one of those. But nothing wrong with checking that system. So at least we do now know that that looks like intact. the integrity of that circuit and of that system for the adjustment of the timing. It looks like there's nothing wrong there, so it's going to be something else. And he's not going to be telling me, I mean, he's telling me the correlation is wrong, and if this tells me this after the engine is running, it could well be that that system is not capable of adjusting the timing because there's a problem with the valve, with the wiring, whatever, yeah. But this is an hard code. This is not even, this code is coming up straight away. So we can have, yes, we can have something inside the ECU that is causing the ECU to see something wrong in there straight away. Or we could have something else on the outside that somehow is making the ECU to think that the correlation is wrong, even though the engine is off and is not being started since you tried to clear the codes, which I've already done, and you have seen that it doesn't do anything. So I'm going to show you just once more if you have not been following. So if I erase these codes, okay, if I read the codes again, the code is there. It doesn't even go anywhere. Okay, so we have an issue here. So let me just capture one more thing, 5 minutes early, that I noticed I missed on last clip. When I touched with the test light on the chassis, yes, I burned the fuse. That's why the engine shut off, because the fuse that feeds that that powers that solenoid for the VVT powers other systems, and there's other systems that are needed for the car to be running. So yes, it blown a 10 amp fuse, which I replaced. Everything is back online and running. For some reason I thought I have recorded that, but it looks like I haven't. So let's gonna move into the next logical step, which I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do next. Okay, and my next logical step, so obviously this is all back in now. So that thingy, when I've touched in there, it blown this fuse right there, this 10 amps right there in the corner. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I want to test the integrity of the timing reading monitoring mechanism, which is going to be the crankshaft sensor, which lives right there. It's an external sensor right there by the crankshaft pulley, and the timing, which it looks to me like is this sensor right there underneath this loom here. But we're going to take the air filter off so we can have a better view of this, and we're going to check it. Now, quite interestingly, or one of the things that is quite interesting on this is just before that is these pinouts on my diagrams look like they are wrong. The number on the ECU plug looks like it shows me the wrong pins. It's a little bit weird. I'm gonna have to double check that and maybe see if I can find some other diagrams. Although if you find one wire that comes there, like I did with that valve, I found two wires that were a straight connection to there, and then was some other measurements I believe was going through, because the power was shared, as I explained to you. It looks like it goes through, so I was measuring other systems, but there was one wire that was a straight connection from there to there. Well, the two wires where I found two straight connections from there to here. So even though it shows me different pins on the diagrams, but I believe that should be okay. So the interesting thing I was saying is that the person that looked at this before me, not the ones that did the oil sample, whatever that was, the person that actually tried to fix this after that, and they couldn't do it. He actually mentioned something to me quite interesting, which is we might give it a go, which is the car starts with the crankshaft sensor disconnected. A lot of the cars, they will start with the camshaft sensor disconnected, but with the crankshaft disconnected is a little bit more tricky. Not all the cars will start with the crankshaft sensor disconnected, and apparently this one starts. I'm not sure what the strategy is for this car if you disconnect the crank sensor. I'm not sure how the car knows the timing and all that good stuff, but apparently they start. But I don't know now if he mentioned that and he left the camshaft connected, or if it starts with both disconnected, we might have to give it a go. But we're not going to try all of that stuff just yet. As I said, all we're going to do for now is check the integrity of those two sensors, see if everything looks okay, and see if we find anything odd. And yeah, so let's gonna do that. Okay, so everything's removed. I already moved these out of the way. Unplug the camshaft sensor, and first thing, the camshaft, obviously unplug this. The camshaft sensor actually looks brand new. Looks too clean to be a used one. We're gonna pull it out anyway, but before that we're gonna make a few measurements, as you can probably imagine. Okay, and let's gonna start with a quick measurement here. So pins, I'm not sure which the order of these pins are. Is any marks on the plug? Doesn't seem to be. Might be on the sensor, but here it doesn't show nothing about what is what. It doesn't really matter for now. Let's gonna call this pin number 1. It's gonna come here somewhere. The computer for the diagrams is booting up as we speak. I will be able to go through them again, but as I said, oh damn it, it was just, I was waiting for the beep. Where was I? I was there. There. There we go. So we have 1 here, straight through. That's gonna go to the middle pin on this plug. This says on the sensor plug. Let's gonna the other one. Not gonna be there. So that might be the signal, which means the other ones are going to be powers and grounds. So we should have a power. So nothing from here. So where is this? So where is this powered from? No, it's not here. So if it's not coming here, the middle one, come on the other plug. It looks like the loom comes this way and everything comes to here or to this bottom plug. Doesn't seem to be nothing connected to this side. It might be right. Where is that thing going? Let me see if the other one is ground. So the middle pin, I found no connections yet to it. See if this is going to be a ground. Not to there. Okay, so the other one comes here. So I'm gonna guess that's gonna be the 5 the 5 volts reference. 5 volts reference, and the ground is gonna be the middle pin. Well, or that's gonna be the signal, and the other one is gonna be the 5 volts reference. The middle looks like it's gonna be the ground, but where is that ground going then? Let me double check this plug here, because if I missed a pin, I missed the pin. There we go. Right, so found the 3 pins on this plug. We have a straight connection to the ECU, so it looks like it's not a wiring issue anywhere. It's gonna pull that sensor out. Let me see how that sensor... Actually, let me do something here real quick. And I think you guys already start to guess what we are doing. Okay, so obviously there is a new code in there. Evap emissions. Did I unplug anything else other than... What? Nah. No. What? There's nothing else disconnected. Oh, there is. That one. So now we know where that valve, where that plug goes. Okay. But my thingy, what I wanted to do is that with the valve disconnected, we still get the same code. So the code doesn't even change to do with the sensor itself. Right. This is interesting because... Right, let's gonna see if we have powers and grounds on that sensor. But at this moment, this looks like something completely different because the code should at least have changed for something else, indicating a problem with the sensor maybe. And he's not even doing that. So yeah, it's gonna check powers and grounds in there. Okay, and it looks like it's gonna rain. Well, it's already raining, but as you can see in there, when I go, where is it? Well, wrong one. So test light is connected to positive, and as you can see in there, on this, well, wrong one as well. Damn it, it's this one here. So when I go to pin number 3, let's say, let me show you. So test light is connected to positive, and then number 3 in there. We have light, so we have ground. Now let's gonna check quickly the voltage. Okay, and I had to move the car here to the entrance of the garage, and in the meantime stops raining, but well, now we're gonna carry on from here. I had to put a light here because obviously the light is not as good as it was outside. So my test light, I can't test the voltage because when I connect the test light from negative, then I try to probe in there, the car sees that as a short because that test light actually draws a little bit too much current for the 5 volts reference. So what I've done is I have this LED, okay, and what we're going to do, so on this plug as it stands, let me show you. So as the plug stands, the far right is the ground, and the other two with the multimeter we get 5 volts on both, but obviously one is going to be the voltage reference, the other one is just going to be the bias voltage from the ECU. So let me put this down. So what we're going to do with this thingy is we're going to plug the red wire into the middle pin, and we're going to see what we have. Okay, so can you see the LED coming on very faint? So that means we don't even have 5 volts here. We have less than 5 volts, even though, I'll show you in a second, even though when we measure 5 volts, we don't have 5 volts here. So I'm guessing when I gonna put this into the other pin, my LED is gonna shine bright green, maybe actually start to go yellow, because this is like a 3 volts, so with 5 it's gonna be too much voltage. There we go. So you see it now coming like yellowish because it's too much voltage for this LED. But that's my 5 volts in there, and they are there. So let me show you now when we measure this. I need to get a test volt. I need to get a test light for 5 volts with low. That has a low power consumption, so I can actually measure this kind of stuff. So let me see if I can put this here so I can show you what I was talking about. Can you see it like so? Yes, you can. Let me show you what we do have. So when I measure the first pin, the middle pin, which is where my 5 volts are, so I get 5 volts. Then when I measure on the last pin, I also get 5 volts. Okay, but obviously we don't really have 5 volts in there. That's just the bias voltage from the ECU, and we don't need to worry about that. So it looks like we have voltage at my sensor, but we still get the same fault with the sensor disconnected. So something's not right here, and I'm starting to think that it might be ECU problem, because it makes no sense the ECU being detecting a problem with the crankshaft, camshaft, crankshaft, crankshaft, camshaft, camshaft, crankshaft. It's raining again. Camshaft position. So it's a camshaft position correlation. We might gonna do the crankshaft measurements just to make sure, but yeah, is there's gonna be an ECU fault? Okay, just removed the camshaft sensor, and it actually might not be brand new, but it looks okay. From far it looked quite clean. It is clean, but it doesn't look brand new. So it looks like this at the bottom is the manufacturer code. So week 18 of 2022, I would guess. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely not new. As you can see in there as well, we have pins 1 to 3, so they are not marked on the plug, but they are here. And the sensor was like so. So number 3 is the ground, number 1 was the signal, and the middle was the voltage reference, I think it was. So yeah, we're gonna put it back in because it doesn't look like there's nothing wrong with this. But again, guys, the code is here as soon as you turn the ignition on, so the code is not going anywhere. So clearly it can't be the sensor. For the engine ECU to be detecting something wrong with this in this sort of circumstances, it's gonna have to be the ECU, and I think that's where I'm gonna focus my attention next. It's gonna be on this engine ECU. Do we have a bad engine ECU? Well. And guys, everything is actually pointing indeed to a bad engine ECU. So, right, so open the ECU. Visually, the ECU looks okay. So, nothing wrong. I had the ECU on the bench. I've been trying to see if I could. By the way, this is a multi-layer ECU. I identified the pins for the crank sensor and the camshaft sensor. Just be aware that depending on the version of the engine you have, you might have the crankshaft sensor, you might have an induction sensor, 2 wires, or you might have a Hall effect sensor, 3 wires. This particular one is 3 wires, and where it plugs in this ECU is different. Anyway, I have identified where everything plugs in. So this pin here, that is marked as black, is my camshaft sensor, and then on the top row, the last one, is my crankshaft sensor. And I'm going to show you just that on live data, that we do have indeed both signals. And let me just show you this. I'm going to try to. I actually have the thingy paused in there. I'm going to have to start the engine, so obviously, let me try to see if I can place the phone here somehow where we're going to be able to see this. If I take, well, you can't see like that. How are we going to do this? Whew. How are we going to do this? Just hold a sec, maybe like that. Like so. Now if I zoom in, perhaps, there we go. Now you can see it. Now I'm going to start the engine, and we're going to just put that into run, and I'm going to show you both signals. Sometimes it does this. I mentioned that at the start of the video. Sometimes, I guess it's because of that problem, that fault with the signal. Sometimes you try to start it and it doesn't start. I could be here cranking for as long as I wanted, it would not start. You turn it off, on the second go, it will start straight away. So I'm going to put, I have 2 channels in there, but I'm just going to move the probe between that one, and I will tell you which one I'm sampling. I'm going to do the camshaft. There you have it. Can't really see it, can you? Not a very good setup, guys, but yeah, let's try this again. Let me actually take this back a little bit. There I have. Let me actually try to see if I can put the other probe on the crank. So the green line is my cam shaft. Let me pull that down. Oh, that one. There you have it. And if I do, I'll try to show you this just very quick. There is the gap on the pulley, on the relector ring, on the crankshaft. That's the gap where there is, I think there is two tooths missing. I think there's 2 missing. That's the gap in there. Okay. I'm not going to be able to do this with both hands, but I will do my best. There is a sample. I don't know if the time is correct. I'll have to get a good sample to know. Actually, I'm going to take a picture of that screen. Let me do this. There we go. Yeah, that's it. What else can I do for now? I do strongly believe now that this is a ECU problem. I've been trying to find out where pin 13, which is the camshaft sensor, where that plugs in straight away. But guys, the signal is getting here into these pins. So There's no lot more I can do, to be fair with you, other than try a different PCM. Let me think. Okay, a few more testing, try to understand what's going on with this, and I'm just going to take you through what I found. So at the moment the car is running with the crankshaft sensor unplugged. I'm going to show you, or try to show you. There he is. Okay, probably you can't see it. I'll try to show you this. Oh, there he is. Okay, unplugged. So the reason why I want to show you this is because what I found so far is that the car it does start with either the crank or the camshaft connected, but if you disconnect both, the car will not start, which means to me that then the ECU is happy with, is going to have to be taking the readings to the core of the ECU from these sensors, otherwise it would not start with one of the sensors. So what else I've done, I've measured wiring just in case, and I just thought about something. And I'm going to do some more testing just to confirm my suspicions, and if it is that, well, I'll take you through. But if it is that, everything I've done so far has been an absolute waste of time. But let's not going to jump the guns yet. Let's going to do some more testing. I'm gonna look like an absolute idiot. Right. Before you jump into the comment section, if you haven't done already, just remember I could have cut all the bad bits and leave only the good bits, and you would never know that I'm just human and I do mistakes. Right, problem found to start with, and I'm going to take you through the entire shebang. One, how I got to that conclusion. Two, I have a little bit more information about this, but I'm going to take you through the whole thing, so it's going to be another few minutes here talking. Just bear that in mind. So today is Monday, so last time we worked on this was Saturday. I've been here on Saturday until about 7 o'clock at night, somewhere around there. And so to start with, what led me to this position, to this situation, was my misconception that the car would have no way to know if the timing is out without starting the engine, which stands true. However, from what I can see so far, now after this next step, this should prove me either wrong or right, but I'm pretty sure it's going to prove me right at this point, is that the ECU has no way to know. However, it looks like this ECU, what this ECU does is, when it sees a out of time condition, will not allow you to clear the codes until you go through a cycle, a running cycle, where the ECU sees that the timing is correct, and only then I guess the code is going to go from active to passive, or to past to past code, and then it will allow you to clear that code. A lot of the cars I've worked so far with timing issues, usually you clear the faults will go away, and then you start the engine, the car detects again that it still has a timing issue, and it flags another code. This little fucker looks like it has something slightly different, and that led me into this rabbit hole. So let me explain you how I got to this conclusion. So first, let me take you through a quick story. So yesterday, at some point, I rang. Okay, let's gonna put it like this. Let's gonna call person A, the garage where this car went. Let's gonna call person B, the person that was called in there, tried to resolve this issue, and he couldn't do it. I explained it at the start of the video. Person B rang me while he was there, and I told him to check a few couple things, but obviously it was just my advice, that's it. He would have to do his own checks. So let's gonna call that person B. So the car went to person A, the garage, to have a oil sump pump replacement, which I can show you if you wish, but it is a brand new oil sump. They changed the oil sump, and apparently they start the engine and all these faults came up, or these faults came up. So person A changed camshaft and crankshaft sensors. Now, I know I said at the start that it looked like the camshaft was actually used, was not replaced, but it is rather clean, but there is some marks. It could have been just the guys holding it, they put grease on it, and well, whatever. But apparently those two sensors were replaced. That's still not fixing the problem. So they called person B. Person B went in there, did his own checks, couldn't figure out what was wrong. He rang me. The rest I already told you. And this is the story. Now, I believe strongly now that person A is not telling the full story. He's hiding something. He hiding something from person B. Really? Hold a sec. Sorry about that, guys. As I was saying, so person A, the garage, is hiding something from person B, and consequently, they are both hiding something from me. Not person B. I'm sure person B wouldn't lie to me, but person A is definitely lying to him, and therefore he's lying to me. He's also been told that when the car went in there to do the oil sump, the car was fine, which, okay, true, could be true, but is what they did while changing this oil sump. They messed up something, and let me explain you exactly what it is and how I got to this conclusion. So, when we took the samples from the scope, I actually had to go back and take more other sections of the timing. I'll get there in a sec. But when I did those pictures, it was undeniable that the signals were reaching the ECU. It was undeniable that the ECU is interpreting those signals, because as I showed you, the car starts with either cam connector but not with both, which means it's receiving both signals to the core of the ECU, as I already explained. But then the question posed is the timing correct? So what I've done, I got some samples and then 5 minutes of Googling, and I found a good waveform. And what I'm going to show you here now, let me put somewhere like that, like so. Yeah, like so, yeah, like that. That would do. So what we're going to do is the following. So here you have a good waveform, okay, and as you can see, the section we're going to look is the section between the brackets, and I will zoom it into here, and well, there's another picture zoomed in, and as you're going to see, between the drop of the camshaft tooth, which is aligned with one of the tooths on the crank, up to the gap or the missing tooth on the crank, you have 11 tooths in there. Okay, now this is my waveform, and between the drop of the camshaft and the missing tooth, we have 14 tooths. So what I've done next was I thought, okay, so the scope doesn't lie, the timing is out. Now let's kind of visually check that the timing is out. So I found a few pictures online, and I found this picture of a timing kit tool connected. Now I couldn't 100% see where the timing is, but based on this little dot and this bolt underneath, and then this sort of casting mark on the engine block, I could align my crankshaft as you can see here. So I aligned roughly in the same place. It didn't have to be 100%. A few degrees out, it wouldn't make much of a difference. And then I found the tool that goes onto the opposite side of the camshaft, which is this tool. And as you can see, the part that's gonna be inserted in the camshaft is in a angle. And when I went to see how my camshaft aligned, it aligned like this, pretty much flat. But obviously, guys, that alone, you can't check the timing just by looking. I strongly believe it's one tooth out. But on Saturday evening, I bought a timing kit, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you now. So, timing kit is in there, and as I'm going to show you now, I have already put the key in there. Okay, so that bolts, the 3 bolts into the camshaft. You need to align the little pin in there, okay, and then a bolt in there. So the crankshaft is locked in place. And then on this side, we have the tool that I've just showed you on the picture. It's not the same, but it's a similar one. And as you can see, this is on an angle, which means this gap right there, it would have to be in an angle. And when I try to put this one in, it doesn't go in. So let me try to show you this, how much the camshaft needs to rotate, which I strongly believe, there we go, I strongly believe is about a tooth that the camshaft is going to have to rotate in that direction. So now we're going to grab the rest of the bits for the tensioner. We're going to take the tension off the timing belt, grab an open spanner, 24mm I think it is, to put in here, and that's going to time this correctly and then go from there. And now, just before we go, it could have been that they did something without even realizing, but how the heck the car would champ a tooth by changing the oil sump? Something doesn't add up. Now, I don't know if they know they did something, they lied. I don't know why they lied, what they think. If they hide the truth, it doesn't look, it's going to fix itself, or it's going to be, I never understood this. But anyway, you don't go to the doctor with a problem and start to lie to the doctor about your symptoms, are you? So why people lie about things like this, who knows? Anyway, let's kind of quickly time these right. I'm not going to take through that, it's rather simple. Let's kind of time these right and then put it all back together and hopefully wrap up this. But looks like everything I've done up to a few clips back, it's been a waste of time, as I said. But guys, we learned, and I do these mistakes so you don't have to. So let's kind of do it and confirm that this is going to fix my problem. And there we go. Okay, and it's not everything in place yet. Still the air filter, well, close the ECU. And I still need to put all this stuff in there, all these covers back in place. But should be enough now to start the engine. And then we will plug the maxi sys to see where we are. So let's gonna try to start this thing. Okay, started straight away, which is good. So let's gonna plug in the maxi sys to do the flywheel learning, or whatever that is. we need to have the engine up to temperature, so we'll leave the engine running for now. This I think is off. Let's turn it on. Okay, let's gonna boot up and read the codes. Okay, and let's gonna go to my history. Let's gonna go into the car again. Diagnosis, control unit, PCM, read codes. Okay, so we have all these codes. It's gonna come back. It's gonna turn the engine off. Key on, erase codes. Read codes. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. Right. Definitely a lesson learned, guys. Definitely a lesson learned. So I was correct. This little F Ford, it needs to go through a cycle with the timing correct. So he needs to see the timing correct before he allows you to delete the code. If only if I knew this from the start. Right. So yeah, all we need now to do is that flywheel learning, which is going to require the engine to be up to temperature before we try that. So we still have obviously the engine light flashing, and we still have this in there until the auto start and stop, which will not go away until we get that done. But guys, we're going to do that quickly, and then I'll show you obviously everything fixed. At the end, the learning is not rocket science, as I've showed you in the past, back in the video actually. So we're just gonna put all these covers back on, etc, etc. Obviously important as well, seal the ECU, and then we'll wrap up this, and well, that's it. Okay, so everything's back in place. The only thing left is the close the ECU and put the air filter box, but that should not prevent us from do the learning. And I think the engine is going to be probably warmed up by now. So is it active tests? I'm not sure. No, I don't think it is. I think it's in service. I'm pretty sure it's in service. I think it's in service. So it's going to come back, service. Engine control module speed learn, I think is that one. Okay, yes, engine is running. So it is on temperature. Temperature is 87. Just press OK. Switch ignition off to 0. Okay. Switch ignition on. Okay. Okay, so reset it. Now it's going to ask us to start the engine, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Press OK. Okay, so 3 times, held for a period of 5 seconds, a minimum of 6,000 RPMs, 3 times. So it's going to try to do this. I don't know if I need to press the OK. I think the OK is afterwards. So let's going to do it. 1. Two. And look at that. press OK. Oh, so now he's asking me to do it. I already done it. So let's gonna cancel that. Damn it, I should have pressed the OK first. So let's gonna turn ignition off. Okay. Okay, he's gonna say unsuccessful because obviously, oh well, I should have pressed the OK. Right, let's gonna start it. Engine light is off. No other warnings. Look at that, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So in the end, guys, I'm not gonna dwell anymore on this car. I'm not gonna dwell anymore on this car, even because I'm sure this video is already long enough. So all I'm gonna do now, guys, is literally close the ECU and put everything back on top of the engine and deliver the car. And lesson learned for me, once again, well, I don't need to take you through, but the main thing on this is, why does people lie? Something must have happened while they were doing the sump for the car to jump out of timing, and they lied, and obviously I chased a little bit. Well, anyway, you've seen the video, guys, so leave your comments below if you want. I'm not going to dwell anymore. So with no further ado, guys, well, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. I definitely did. And if you do still have any questions, any comments, guys, you know exactly how it works. Just put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.